Right, ANC NEC member Zuko Godlimpi joins us now for more on that story. Good to have you, sir, and thank you very much for your time. The ANC has now charged its member and found the member guilty of contravening Rule 25-17-17, 4 of the ANC's constitution, read with subsection 2, for prejudicing the integrity or repute of the organization by acting in collaboration with a registered political party with the Umkhonto weSizwe, which is not an alliance of the ANC, in a manner contrary to the aims, policies and objectives of the ANC, and therefore said member now expelled from the party. However, there is an envisaged appeal if it does come to that of 21 in 21 days. Do you envisage, one, the grounds of the appeal, that the ANC failed to understand this political something, or the ANC didn't follow a due processing, that this decision was reached with the member not having been present in this said disciplinary hearing for reasons which, of course, we are going to get into and discuss?
Look, Tibos, whatever political something means, it must make sense in the context of the ANC constitution, right? It doesn't exist outside the parameters of what the constitution says. And if the expelled member wants to raise the political something in an appeal, they would have to ventilate that political something with the National Disciplinary Committee of Appeals. And the NTCA will be adjudicating the matter still on the basis of the merits relating to the constitutional process. So they would have to canvass their point in that respect. And just to make the point that the member was actually afforded an opportunity to make representations before the National Disciplinary Committee, and they chose to send a representative to that effect. The first one was a legal representative who could not produce their bona fides as a member of the ANC in good standing as required by the Constitution, and that person was replaced by Comrade Tony Yengeni, who is a member of the ANC in good standing, and therefore, in terms of the Constitution, was allowed to represent the said charged member. And the verdict is therefore a product of a process that included receiving representations from his chosen representative.
Yeah.
So as far as the ANC is concerned, from a process point of view, the process was watertight, and it is consistent with the rules of natural justice as expressed in the ANC constitution.
Unless we missed it, maybe we've got other documentation that we don't have. From what we are reading from the leaked papers, if they are indeed what is coming from the NDC, is that only the SG of the ANC would have been a witness who made representations, to which the said representative of former President Jacob Zuma left the online meeting. So there was nothing on his part that would have put his side of the story.
No. Again, Tibos, we issued a press statement today, and I was quite clear in the press conference that we must rely on what the ANC has produced, not what was leaked, because that which was leaked was not a signed document. Insofar as the signed document is concerned, the process is outlined, and the members of the media will be furnished with that entire record to see it. The ANC flatly provides every charged member a fair opportunity to make representations, and their representative to make representations. Just to take you back, Comrade Tony Yengeni arrived on the 15th on the 17th of July, and requested that the pre-trial hearing must be held on the 18th of July,
right,
so that they could ventilate on issues of process, and that was granted.
Yes.
So on the 18th was the first time that Comrade Tony Yengeni made representations on behalf of former President Jacob Zuma in a pre-trial hearing. And then on the date that was set of the 23rd, then the matter went ahead. So the idea that someone did not make representations is absolutely not true.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is in contention to say the 23rd itself, others assumed it was the 23rd and the 24th, which would have still given them a chance for a pre-trial but it seems because one didn't show up on the 23rd, then the matter just went ahead. Just provide clarity on that particular aspect, because the ANC then went ahead to make its representation in terms of the pre-trial, the witness list, and and how the processes are going to unfold, without the other party having done the same.
No, but the other party then makes the allegation of intimidation in a hearing. So they didn't make that on the street. They made it on the record that they had been intimidated by one of the parties to the case. So they will have to reconcile whether that was said on the record or it was said elsewhere. But the papers of the NTC do reflect on the consideration of that argument as well, and they arrived at the conclusion that it did not materially affect the direction of the proceedings.
Yeah.
So that argument really is without merit. But if they so want to pursue it, they would have to pursue it before the NTC, and the NTC would consider the matters and arrive at a determination as well. But as far as the ANC is concerned, everyone was afforded an opportunity to state their case.
One of the issues that I think would have been emphasized, and you tell me your view on it, was that the accused member wanted to look at his accusers in the face to face, and not via some kind of streaming service. Was the ANC avoiding what the Secretary General calls a movie outside Luthuli House, which really means a spectacle, more important to the ANC than affording this member the request of having a face-to-face kind of interaction?
Tibos, let's separate two things. There is no legal requirement or in the rules of natural justice that the person must be staring you, sitting next to you for a trial to be fair. Even the courts of law themselves, they do run proceedings virtually when circumstances dictate that they should be done virtually. So that argument is completely without merit. Whether the decision was arrived at as a function of political optics or not does not have a material bearing on the fairness of the process. And it is up to the NTC to determine how proceedings of a hearing are going to be run. Not that a person can say, demand that, no, I want to have this hearing in a parking lot today. No, I want to have it in a restaurant the next day. I want to have it in a boardroom the other day. The NTC, is the people who are convening the hearing, make the determination on the basis of the availability of the members and what is convenient, and say, this is how the proceedings are going to be held. What matters, what is of substance, is that the charged member must be given an opportunity to state their case on the record, and they must have the right also to cross-examine the person who's making allegations against them. Those are the matters that are of consequence to the fairness of the process.
Yeah. The question then of whether or not the ANC could have alerted, even warned the member earlier. It emerged that is not the process that happened. The only process that really would have been followed here is a decision of the NEC, which was forwarded to the expelled member, who then did not respond to it. Was there a need? I mean, we are seeing today, for example, if ANC members are misbehaving online, we hear that they get a warning from the SG to say, hey, you must behave or you guys are going to have to face serious things. That could not be done with the former president to say, President, this thing is going to lead you into a little bit of a challenge.
Okay, let's work on it this way. If you recall, the first date was set down even before elections, right?
Yeah.
And the decision that it would be virtual was communicated right at that time. So it's not true that anybody was ambushed with this decision. Even the new date after elections, or the postponement, in fact, before elections, was communicated to the member that, okay, we will no longer have the hearing now before elections, we'll have it on a date after elections. And that was done as well after elections. And the representative of the member arrived, as I was saying, two of them. First, it was a lawyer. Then the lawyer could not prove that they're a member of the ANC. Then they were replaced by Comrade Tony Yengin. And that pre-trial hearing was then held on the following day after Comrade Tony Yengin had arrived to say he is now the representative of Comrade former President Zuma. In fact, he even posted himself on Twitter that he had fun having an exchange with the chairperson of the committee. So those facts are there. That happened. There was no one who was ambushed with this thing, and they were given a fair hearing to do the thing. Now, the Secretary General warns members of the ANC, as he should, when they act in a manner that portends towards a violation of the Constitution. But a person saying, I am not going to vote for the ANC, I'm going to vote for another political party, a person going to the court of law insisting that they're a leader of a political party, a person going to a court of law saying they want to be on the parliamentary list of another political party and that there must be a legal ruling on the matter, and a person openly campaigning against the ANC on behalf of another political party is a different matter altogether. And that is why the consequence of it was the decision to charge the member. Now, this is not the first member of the ANC to be charged. The ANC has been charging its members for a long time over the last 112 years, including some of its senior comrades. So what happened with the former President Jacob Zuma is not an unheard of thing. There are many, many senior leaders of the ANC who in the 60s, in the 70s, have been charged. Some of them were suspended and they were brought back. Some of them were expelled, depending on the scale of the violation and the argument that they made before the National Disciplinary Committee and the consideration of the facts. So the ANC has not invented a new process with respect to former President Jacob Zuma. It simply just followed the processes that it usually follows generally on matters of this sort.
So, I mean, technically you thought it shouldn't happen before the elections and therefore you left it after the election. It still affected the outcomes of those elections by, I think the Veterans League said, by 2 million votes that you could have lost as the African National Congress. Now that you've expelled the said member, if again the expulsion continues, the appeal is unsuccessful, what do you think will be the fallout of that? If just for campaigning for the MK party, the said member was able to bring down the votes of the ANC by 2 million, how much more damage is he able to do now outside of the party?
Look, the damage that he could have done, he's already done it. The ANC has to contend now with how it reconstructs its presence on the ground in the areas where it experienced the greatest bloodbath on account of his actions. But as I'm saying again, the ANC has had to contend with similar situations in the past, and it has had the ability to read the terrain, understand what the sore point was, what elements of its left or right flank were weaker that allowed for that particular personality to mobilize and undermine the ANC's presence. And it is going to have to rebuild itself on that front. What the ANC has never done, and it is not going to start to do now, is to coddle a personality who's acting in a manner that is contrary to the spirit and revolutionary ethics of the ANC for fear that the person would damage its electoral performance. Otherwise, the ANC would never function. It would be held at ransom by all manner of personalities whose force of personality would be that the ANC would have to back them in order to survive electorally. We can't function like that. What we've suffered so far, we will rebuild from it. And it will be a painstaking process. We'll have to systematically get back to the ground and rebuild structures of the ANC to be able to push back against this political outfit that was born right out of the flesh of the ANC. And that is a non-negotiable. We will not trade discipline for expediency on all accounts. On that front, the ANC is not going to backtrack.
I appreciate your time. NEC member of the ANC, the Zuko Godlimpi. Thank you for coming on.